Welcome to the Allured Life podcast. My name is Katie Christ, and in 2016, I wrote down in a journal that I was going to become unapologetically my best self. And my purpose is to help women do the same, whether that's overcoming body image issues, creating next level inner confidence, or up-leveling our emotional intelligence and sense of worth. I believe that by investing in and developing who we are, we can exponentially transform the world we live in. My mission is to create power and influence in the hands of women. These are conversations for those ready to rise. This is the Allured Life podcast. Let's go all in. Hello, hello, hello. All right, let's dive into what this episode is going to be about. But these are going to be, actually, let me pull up, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. I was like, I should shorten these because I want them to be snappy. So I'll give all 7 of these embodiment questions to ask yourself. And then throughout this, I'll just kind of say, okay, if you could just focus on 3, what would these be? Because I know you are quick. You're like, let's just get to the juice. I need this. But before we get into the juice, a few things that are happening this upcoming week. This is a big week. This is a big one. So if you're listening to this as this week that it's coming out, this week is your last week to get into Becoming the One Masterclass. So last week, after this, once April hits, I'm taking it away. I'm taking modules. There's 5 modules on it. 2 of them will still be on the podcast. So don't worry. Don't feel like I'm taking things away too much. So module 1 and module 2 will be on the podcast, and then the rest of it is going away. So if you want the rest of it, this is a really good podcast. It's a really good masterclass. I've been telling Ryan, and I feel different after hosting this masterclass. Things feel light, things feel on track, things feel just heightened. They feel good. They feel like there's momentum building, there's consistency, there's a level of strength that I am so proud of myself to be holding, that really, like, I can draw a line in the sand and write, like, before and after the Becoming the One masterclass of me hosting it. Like, I literally can see the difference. So jump in. Also, what's happening this week is the Allure program has started. So Allure is I love this program. This is like the big sister of Becoming the One Masterclass. This is the program of emotional intelligence, of leading yourself. That's really it, is figuring out how to lead yourself in the strongest way possible, so that the standards that you're upholding, you're proud of, that you are walking into any room and you feel confident, you feel like you're the one, you can pull up a seat to the table. And then also too, of just like within your relationships, of just understanding your relationships deeper and understanding where you might get triggered from other people, or even just the circumstances around your life. This doesn't have to be related to relationships, but where you get triggered, where does your out of powered version of yourself come from? Where is this reactionary version of yourself? Where do you get short with people? Where do you just come off because you're just going so much and just like losing steam, or giving so much and you're people pleasing, or you're procrastinating, or you're overwhelmed, you're frustrating, all these things that we deal with every single day. That's just a normalcy. Like, it isn't supposed to be a normalcy. If anything, these are warning lights being like, hey, the way that you're doing something, like, this isn't the right way, or there's a lesson learned right here. This program is to like take that power back, so that everything that's happening in your life, it almost like, I don't want to use this tagline because I just saw like a woman that I really like, but it's like, oh, she was using this for a program. But it's like everything you touch turns to gold. Like, that's kind of the vibe of this program. I want you to feel like you're the one after this program, that you feel empowered, that you feel this balance of strength and femininity, of doing and getting things done, but also like seeing in your life just magic unfold and things effortlessly happening. It's this balance of the masculine and the feminine in a really, beautiful, beautiful way. It's okay. I pulled up some notes of what, like, I was just jotting down what I want this program to feel like for people. But it's this version of you that lets the tears roll down her face and knowing that each tear brings healing and strength. It's the version of you that finds pure happiness and gratitude, like in your life, at everything she sees in the world. She's fiercely protective of her peace and honored and respected in her ways. There is nothing for you to do in this program. Like, this is just a deep inner knowing and learning. The work is really in your own contemplation. Again, it's just this balance of fierce and feminine, soft and strong, knowing and empathetic, alive and in tune with everything. It's a really sacred program. So if you want in to Allure, we just started this week, so jump in. It's okay if you like. It's okay if you like want to jump in mid program, whatever. Um, so yeah, and then what else is coming? Okay, on tentatively right now, on April 15th, we are starting the Moment program. The Moment. This is the moment. This is my signature way back when. It used to be called the Total Transformation Intensive. This is my health and wellness program. This is the program that has helped so many women reclaim their power around their own health, reclaim their power around their stress, around their overwhelm with things. We look at everything from how to incorporate daily movement into your life to up leveling your exercise, to really focus on water, nutrition, understanding what is good for your body, figuring out what's high energy versus low energy food, what's high energy activity versus low energy activities. Where does self-sabotage come in, which is inevitable in any program. Self-sabotage is like a thing that will happen. We look at your intuition, we look at your personal power, we look at what else do we cover? We look at where do you need to up level your own nourishment in yourself, your self-care significantly. It really is focused more so where Allure is the emotional intelligence, the embodiment practice, the really knowing in the leadership of you as a whole, in your woman, in your femininity. The Moment is more so geared into kind of this perspective in this context of your health and well-being, of really your radiancy, your magnetism in your own body. So just know that that is coming as well. Okay, so let's dive into what this podcast episode is about. So this was sparked by I was making a salad. I was making a salad and it was actually kind of a fun salad to make. I saw it on Instagram where it was this woman that just took everything that she put in a salad and just like dumped it onto a cutting board and just started cutting everything up. She was like, I don't have time to I just want a salad. I want it to be good and just dump it all, chop it up, like literally putting olive oil on top of the lettuce, putting feta cheese, like if you want to see it, I posted it on my Instagram. But I was making the salad and I was thinking about, I don't know why she popped into my head, but it was a past client of mine. And I remember a couple of past clients have talked about this, but I just remember a conversation that I had with her. And she was like, I know I need to be eating better, Katie. And she's like a badass woman where it was like everything in her life was good. Everything in her life was on track. Everything was feeling like she had it all except for her weight was the biggest struggle that she's just had for so long. And she was like, I know I need to be eating a certain way, but I just hate cooking. She's like, I hate doing this. I hate the prep. I just hate taking the time to do it. I just want it to be done. And I was like, I get that. I get that. And so when we were in our coaching module, like we would just kind of figure out ways for her to start to be more intentional with this. And it really was just like it was one of those muscles that just once she started stretching it, once she started to like focus in on it, it became easier, a little bit easier, a little bit easier. But for some reason, that was like the hardest thing for her to overcome. And so I was thinking about this while I was chopping the salad. And it really is, these are questions that I've had mentors kind of come up with, and like I'm going to share with them of sometimes it's not about like how do I make it so that this is easier for me? How do I make it so that it's easier for me to get in a workout exercise class? How do I make it so my schedule allows time for me to meal prep? How do like I feel like a lot of the times when we start something, we're just like, how do I make it easy on myself? And I think when we think of how do I make it easy on myself, we're just like, I just want to do it. I'm like, I see people do this and how do they do it? Like right now, it just feels so hard for me to do something that seems so basic for everybody else to do. Make a meal. And this is where I want us to have kind of a deeper conversation of it's not just like how do I find the easier things to do so I can like there is truth in developing that as a way to figure habit development, right? Like we hear people talk about the little wins. And also again of just like it truly is once you start to stretch this muscle or do things consistently and once you figure that part out, it becomes easier, it becomes a habit, it becomes part of your routine. And at the same time too, I think we can get there a little bit faster by having a little bit more introspection happening right here. Because I was talking on my stories, and I don't know if I hope I said it in the right way. Because I was saying how I would coach her now would just be like, there's a version of you that you want to be a match for, that we're striving for you to become a match for. What's the standard there? And get it done. Which I know can lead into, especially in the health and wellness space, this can lead into restrictive dieting mentality. Because that is kind of how restrictive dieting and eating a certain way or restrictive like force very masculine forcing exercise structures that you like you gotta have willpower. You can tie this up in like a beautiful little bow in certain areas that in hindsight when you really peel back the layers when you really don't when you go because I've done this before too, you like try to get into this box and then it depends on your why of how you're approaching things. And if people just feel so restricted or there's a constraint to doing something a certain way, or they feel like they're bad if they don't fall into doing this exactly perfect or in a similar sense, this is where people can slide into like over exercising or like getting burnt out from exercising or just feeling an overwhelm or body dysmorphia is a big thing, eating disorders is a big thing. Like I feel like there's such a fine line in terms of our health and wellness to really approach this conversation because there is this conversation of like just do it, get it done, and obviously we have that in our mind, right? We have that in the back of our mind. I know you're a high performer, you want to achieve, you know how to achieve, you know what you want, and you're like, just get this done, do it. And at the same time, too, I feel like there's just a different approach with these 7 questions that I want to ask you. So the first one is what happens if I actually become the version of myself that I really want to be? What happens if I actually become the version of myself that I really want to be? Why is this an important thing to actually know the answer to? Is we need to start to create expectancy that the things that we want are actually going to happen. And a lot of times we think about what we want and it's just like an ephemeral, I think that's the right word, thought. Like it's just like a whisper away. It's always in the future. We're not actually touching it. This is where I want us to start to touch this version of ourselves. I want her to come into today. I want you to know her so well. And actually, when I was looking on a couple of days ago, I had a Facebook memory pop up of like when I did the total transformation intensive way back in 2020 to 2021 was when I created this whole online video module program. So it's like a 12-week or 12 module, which you can either take it 12 weeks, so 3 months, or every other week, so 6 months program. I've done both. I like both. But we were talking, so it was like a little snippet of that, and it was talking about expectancy and how to create a consistent level of motivation, which now I feel like motivation is fleeting, and what I would change now is a consistent level of momentum is having this level of expectancy. And this is something that we don't create in ourselves. We don't actually create this like actual belief of expecting the results to be 100% in, no matter what. Because it's always been something, if you don't have it right now, you just don't have it. It's not a part of you. It's in the future. It's a disconnect, right? But what we want to do to collapse time around us actually creating momentum, significant momentum, is to close the gap, is to collapse time, is to create this expectancy now of what this version of ourself is going to look like, to really know her, to become her, becoming the one. What happens if I actually become the version of myself that I really want to be? Some of the answers that you're gonna have also are gonna be they're gonna be great. You're gonna be like, I'm gonna be more confident. I'm gonna be like just the best version of myself. I'm gonna have so much energy. I'm gonna da 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 da. And what also is so real to talk about is like figuring out truly what is going to happen. What is gonna change in your life? What routines or habits that are currently in your life right now are going to change. It's like having this, like we can all vision the dream of these dreams. The desires that we have, we can see the good that comes from it, but the actual reality of what's going to change, do we let ourselves picture this? And a lot of times we don't. And a lot of the times too, there are some negative things that are you might not be as conscious about. You might not be as aware of what happens if I actually become the version of myself that I really want to be. For instance, let's keep with the weight. Some of them are just like, oh, I might get unwanted attention. Oh, I might not be able to go out and eat the Mexican food with my girlfriends as much as I want to. Like these are so stupid things, right? But these are actual things that I've had conversations with clients in my health and wellness coaching that has gotten in the way that they didn't even realize, like, oh, I've been holding on to this version of me because I do bond with my friends more. I don't want to be ostracized. Like my friends kind of make comments about like, oh, she's like, oh, you're gonna have the salad. Okay. Like they kind of guilt you into that. And it doesn't feel like it makes a difference, but in hindsight, it does. It does influence our behavior just a little bit. Or if you're going for a really audacious goal, if you're really putting yourself out there, like for example, for me of going on social media and being loud and proud about this business and saying some things that are a little bit triggering or a little bit gonna make people question themselves or challenge people, it's like what happens if I actually become the version of myself that I really want to be is I'm gonna, oh shoot, like what happens if there's gonna be projections out there? What if people don't get me? Like I'm putting myself in situations that I'm talking about things that are different. I want to challenge people into excellency. I either want to trigger people into excellence or they're going to relate to me and then they're going to be excellent. But either way, it's I want people to be excellent. And it's like, okay, what happens if I actually become that version? It's like I'm opening myself up for projections, for people to disagree with me. Am I okay with that? Am I ready for that? Am I strong enough for that? So you start to see little areas that you might have some cracks or some areas in your own confidence and your own knowing of yourself that you just have to clean up a little bit. And this is where the emotional intelligence, this is the knowing of yourself, the leading of yourself really comes into play. It's I know that I want this. How do I lead myself so I'm so strong in alignment with this? How do I lead myself so that I know that I'm okay no matter what? Again, shameless plug. This is where the Becoming the One masterclass and Allure comes into play. Okay. So, question number 2 is, and this is the one that I talked about on my stories. It's I know I'm a match for blank. Am I holding myself to the standard that is a match for it. I know I want to lose weight. I know I can do this. I know I've got that. Am I holding myself to the standard for that to happen? This is a big question. And also too, it's an eye-opening as well too. It's like, am I holding myself to the standard? This is significantly raising our standards, holding ourselves to a standard that not a lot of people are doing. We forget this question. We forget that there's standards that we need to be meeting, that we told ourselves we will be meeting and we haven't. And so this again, just kind of, if I would have asked this to my client of, okay, like, so you know that you're a match to lose this weight. Like that's what we were working towards. And so you might be like, oh shoot, I actually don't believe that I'm a match for the things that I want. Okay. Then there's some work to be done. Becoming the one masterclass, guys. Or Allure. We got to start strengthening your own belief in yourself. Like you've got to know that you can do it no matter what. Like there's nobody out there. There's no book that you could read. There's no podcast that you can listen to. There's no influencer. There's no leader or mogul out there that's going to tell you that you've got this more. That's going to like feel stronger than you knowing for sure. Sure, you can have these little podcasts that kind of give you the boost of energy, a boost of motivation, or a boost of like, okay, like I got this, I got this, I got this. You can find inspiration, you can calibrate to people. But if you don't know it to be true, 100% true, without a shadow of a doubt or working through those doubts, it's not going to hold as strong. That's Allure. That's my intention for Allure is that you figure out where the cracks are. How do you plug these, like clean it up a little bit, clean up your, like truly do the inner work. There's massive inner work to be had at every single level. Like this isn't work that just kind of stops. But it's like, how do you know that you're a match for whatever you want? You need to know. That's it. That's the answer. I can't tell you in a way that's going to be stronger than you knowing. And we want to be as strong as we can. I don't want you to rely on me. I don't want you to rely on having to listen to a podcast or even rely on like needing a morning routine. Those are all circumstances, circumstantial power. I want you to increase your own personal power. So, caveat right there. But it's you knowing I'm a match for whatever you want to lose the weight, to have the business, to create this relationship, to like have this family. Like, I know I'm a match for this. Am I holding myself to the standard that is a match for it? And it's just radical responsibility right there. Are you or are you not? If you are, great. Where can you up level? Where can you hold yourself stronger? And if you aren't, okay, where can we pivot? Next question. I want blank. Can I truly hold that right now? Can I truly hold what I want right now? This one was a hard one for me to actually sit there and think of, okay, can I truly hold that right now with everything that's happening in my life? Can I am I allowing space for me to stretch myself a little bit more to be able to hold that? And sometimes that answer was yes, and then it was just like, okay, you got to like hit your standards a little bit more. You got to start having some doing power right now. There's got to be some more personal power here. We got to start going. And then other times it was looking at this and I was like, "Oh, I don't have space to hold this right now." And so if not, then what needs to change? Do I need to reprioritize some of the things that I've been prioritizing? Are the things that I've said yes to really in alignment for me to say yes to it? And what needs to change? Does my schedule need to change? Do I need to have a conversation with Ryan of the responsibilities that we're both sharing? Like just if I really want this thing that I'm striving for, and if I can't truly hold it right now, if I feel like there's things, just roadblocks in my path right now, I just got to figure out, okay, what needs to change so that I can start to hold this? Is it having more grace? Is it sleeping more? Is it drinking more water? Like some of the stuff is just basic stuff. It's like Do can I hold this right now, this level of focus, this level of way that I wanna be talking and holding these programs? Let's just put it into my own business, or if you have your own business, or if you are focused on getting a raise or in your business or even with your family right now, if you're like, "I really wanna be, like, the leader of my family," it's like, "Can I truly hold that right now with what I'm doing?" And some of the times, it's like, "Oh, I've been eating cereal and, like, having coffee left and right and not drinking the water." Like, that's as basic as sometimes it gets. It's like, "Oh, okay, if I wanna be this focused, this present, this energized, like, I need to focus on my energy. Can I truly hold that with the food that I'm putting in my body?" Oh, oh, that Culver's ice cream was so good. What needs to change? You've gotta start drinking the water. You've gotta start energizing your body and fueling your body so that you have the focus and the presence that you need to. Doesn't have to be a huge thing, like overhauling your routine completely. Another thing of, like, I want magnetism, I want radiancy, I want to feel confident walking into the room. Can I truly hold that right now? Shamelessly, sometimes I'm like, "No, I don't feel confident with myself right now. What needs to change? Go get a haircut." Or go right now with my growing body. I'm pregnant right now. What needs to change? I need to get some clothes that I feel confident in. It's like weird things that just give us some energy, that just make us feel a little bit better. Like, and again, it's weird to just be like, the thing that's like not allowing me to hold this focus, this thing that I want is I don't feel confident in clothing. Sometimes it's like, yeah. Like, yeah, that's it. Sometimes it's a little bit deeper than that. Sometimes it's like, "Oh, there's some, like, more confident stuff that we gotta clean up here." So it's just like it's knowing yourself. It's having fun with these conversations. It's doing these questions also enough that you do start to know yourself and enough that, like, you have fun with it too. Okay, so next question. What am I afraid of, and can I handle it if it happens? This is a biggie. And this is kind of what I was talking about before of what happens if I actually become the version of myself that I really want to be, the first question. Sometimes we do have things that we're afraid of, consciously or subconsciously. And sometimes we have questions of, can I handle this? I don't know if I can handle this. And we self sabotage from that. Just this popped into my mind of an example, but one of my guilty pleasures is watching The Bachelor. I watch almost every Bachelor season. I watch The Bachelorette. I watch Golden Bachelor, and I for sure watch what is it called? Bachelor in Paradise for sure. Guilty pleasure right there. But one of the contestants on there was talking about how she doesn't know if she can handle the heartbreak if she's not chosen. So what am I afraid of? And can I handle if it happens? I'm afraid that I'm gonna get my heart broken and I don't think I can handle it. And from that, you can see how her behavior, her relation, like it changes the way that we walk. Who we're being changes based on the fear that we're walking with and this understanding of, can I handle it if it happens? If we feel like we can't handle it, we're walking in avoidance. We walk a path that we're like, nope, can't, gotta go over there to try to avoid this fear. And then we like curve around another, like if we see a bump in the road, we're like, gotta avoid it going over there. And it becomes exhausting. And it also becomes inauthentic as well, too. We're not giving ourselves the fullest version of ourselves, this full knowing of like, I've got me. There's a little protectiveness. And because of this protection, we just do a little less, become a little bit less, be a little bit smaller. We're a little bit smaller. We love a little bit less. We don't push as hard as we feel like we could be pushing. We don't we're not as brave. We're a little bit less brave. It's just a little bit less of us. versus what am I afraid of? And can I handle if it happens? And saying yes to that. Can I handle it? Yes, I've got me. Then we go all in, go all in. We give it our all. We play to win, knowing that even if the thing that we're afraid of does happen, we're like, well, we got ourselves if it does. We play to win versus playing not to lose. Playing not to lose is just walking with that fear and just doing a little bit less, feeling a little bit less, loving a little bit less, being brave a little bit less. And so if you can't handle it, if you're like, I don't know what to do, then my recommendation is go get support. This is where you need to hire a coach. This is where you need to hire support. This is where you need to like figure out how to overcome this fear. Otherwise, this fear is going to keep you stuck inevitably. You don't feel like you can lead yourself? Go get support. Figure out where are the things, what are the questions that you need to be asking yourself that you don't need to be that you don't know that you need to be asking. That's been my thing. Like, go get support. There's so many people out there. I'm not out like go read a book, go listen to a podcast, go find something that's going to help you handle it if it does happen. Okay, the next question is, am I focused? Am I focused? This is I so much of the time, it's just this is a yes or no. Am I focused? No. No, I'm not. I'm distracted. This thing is distracting me. That's like sucking my energy. Am I focused on the thing that I want? No, not as much as I should be. This is an easy one. This is an easy one. But this is so important because I want us to start to, we stretch ourselves so thin so much of the time because we are embracing it all, doing it all, having it all. We're embracing it. We're owning it all. We're like I want that for you. I want you to lead your life so you don't need other people to do it for you. And at the same time, that's not like we're not doing this where it's like nobody's got me. I only got myself, like Miss Independent, overly masculine independent. It's not that. It's not that whatsoever. But it is to an extent of just I want us to figure out like that you've got you no matter what. Are you focused on that or are you letting things steal your energy away that's from away from your priorities? And then the last question is now what? Now what? Just taking it every single day or maybe every hour. Now what? Now what? Now what? Now what? That's it. We only have the now. We only have the now. So just now what? What feels good now? What feels good now? What feels good now? What's in alignment now? What's in alignment now? What's in alignment now? What's my standard now? What's my standard now? What's my standard now? This now, these questions aren't something that's just like, okay, do this and then go for 3 months and like holding these answers. It's, yeah, you'll get further than if you didn't, but we're also, it's like every single day, it's 1% better, 1% pivot, 1% pivot, 1% pivot, or 1% fine tuning, 1% fine tuning, 1% fine tuning. And it's like every single day, these questions are going to get a little bit, you're going to get stronger, you're going to get sharper. Now what? Sharper. Now what? Sharper. Now what? Sharper. All right, guys. So that's all I have for you for this podcast. This was a quick, easy. I want this just to be straightforward. Write these questions down. Start to incorporate that. You don't have to take a whole bunch of time. Oh, I've missed one. Sorry. Okay, before the now what was the am I believing in myself? Am I believing in myself? Or are there certain areas that I need to? I think I've already kind of touched on this a little bit. Um, or are there areas that I need to clean up my knowing of myself? So sorry about that. I missed that one. I was like, wait, I need 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. But that's all I had for you for this episode. Put this into your daily routine, honestly, of just asking yourself these 7 questions, just like Write them down, put them in a note in your iPhone, and just glance at them. And like, it doesn't take 3 minutes on this of just kind of thinking about it, of just contemplating about it, of the biggest thing is just creating this expectancy. Expectancy creates momentum. We want to figure out how to like, this is the expectation of who we are. There is no, it's the truth. The truth is unwavering. The truth can't be like destroyed. It's the truth. This is the truth. We want it to be that. I want you to be going into a courtroom of like, I don't know why, like a murder courtroom, like, I don't know why that was a thing. That just popped into my head, I think, because I also listen to like My Favorite Murder podcast. But I want you to go into a courtroom and be like, this is the truth, and it's irrefutable. It's like no jury can look at this and be like, well, I don't know. This person, there might be a loophole, or like, no, it's like, this is it. This is the truth. Slam the gavel down. Boom. Done. We got this. All right, guys, I love you, and I hope some moment this week takes your breath away. Mwah. Hey there. Thank you so much for listening. My goal is to help as many women listening, and if this episode supported you in any way, the very best way to show your appreciation is by simply screenshotting this episode and sharing on your social media or with your friends. Or even better, drop a review on whatever platform you are listening on. Don't forget, if you are looking for any additional support, you can always reach me on Instagram at Katie Christ. See you back here next week.